Welcome back to Wash Talk, the Carwash Podcast. I'm your host, Rich DiPaolo, and joining me today, I'm excited to have back Jeff Blansit, SCWA's president-elect, heading back to the big chair, I see. Huh, Jeff?
Oh, yeah. And Rich, thanks for having me this morning. Yes, once again. So I'm very excited about it.
Yeah, you've been president of SCWA at least one other time before that I could recall, yeah?
Yeah, actually, with the COVID and everything, I've served two terms. So this will be my third and my final term. So
third and final term. All right. And they say President Trump's political comeback was the biggest comeback in history. I would challenge Jeff coming back to the president chair at SCWA is not a bad comeback either, right? So today I want to catch up with you. It's an event that I certainly look forward to every year, and that's the 2025 SCWA Convention and EXPO, scheduled for February 26th through the 28th at the Fort Worth Convention Center. And I know you guys are in the midst of putting some final touches on the planning. So I want to catch up with you, Jeff, to see what all you have planned going on this year and how attendees can best get prepared. But why don't you go into how you first got started in the car wash industry and how you made your way to SCWA, maybe what that association and this event has meant to you over the years?
Yeah, great question. Well, I've been in the industry now for, I guess, about 30, 35 years. I know I don't look that, but I started, my whole education and background was financial accounting. And so I got started while I'm still holding a full-time accounting job in the corporate world with a self-service wash, one, and then ended up with 9 of them and still working a full-time job. And then got into the express tunnel. I won't say express because I was in Dallas at the time and we did the flex service, which we were one of the first flex service tunnels there. Sold all the self-service washes and been in the express business ever since. So, and SCWA from that standpoint has just been a wonderful organization. And I think it speaks to just anybody that's attended our convention or been around it, just from an industry standpoint, just how personable, family feel it is. And I think moreover than anything with SCWA, unlike any other association in the industry, is the advocacy that they provide to the membership. And, and I think that was really upfront and tried and true during the COVID time. So a lot of people leaned on SCWA for help, both at the city, local, and state level. So.
Yeah, it's a great point. And I know Chuck Space was out in front during those COVID times, informing operators, and he was really great during that time. So yeah, it's a great association. It's a great show. It's a good productive show, but also mixing in a lot of fun as well. So let's get into some of that planning. You just you mentioned it to me earlier. This year's theme is refresh, renovate, and reinvest. So how do these concepts reflect the current state of the car wash industry, and how will the convention and its vendors push these principles forward at the 2025 show?
That's a great question, Rich. And I feel right now, just with the increased cost of capital and increased building, costs, operators are, looking for ways they can improve their facilities. Through whether it's just a variety of improvements, and that can be either, minor, or major renovations, looking for maybe, increased business efficiencies or customer conveniences. And as I mentioned before, I think because of the increased capital cost and some don't have the access to the capital markets, given the current rate environment. I think that like the new builds that we've seen, that frenzy in the past few years, I think it becomes more of a risky proposal for people. So I think that just overall in the industry, I think there's a slowdown in new builds that we've seen, and I think there's a couple of reasons for that. One, obviously, is the cost of capital, access to capital, and then in some markets, oversaturation. And so I think that it's made people kind of, take a hard look at, maybe, I've got competitors around me, and maybe my building's not new and shiny or my equipment or whatever, but it's a whole lot cheaper from a capital standpoint to maybe make, those upgrades, whether it's remodeling or just maybe new equipment or updating equipment or simple things as just, landscape, paint, tree trimming, things like that makes your property stand out more or whatever. So, and I think as it relates to our convention, I think you're going to see vendors and so forth. Some of the calls I've been on, I think they're going to be pushing some of that because that's really kind of where some of the market is shifting. So not to say that people aren't building, some people are, but it's not like it's been. And so I think it's our whole theme, the refresh, renovate, and reinvest is so appropriate at this time.
It is appropriate, yeah, and it's so important nowadays. As you mentioned, competition is increasing, so you don't want to, when the new guy on the block comes and he's got all the shiny signage and equipment, you don't want to be the one with the outdated stuff. So yeah, so important, especially today, to kind of reinvest and reinvigorate the wash if you've been there for a while, right? So
absolutely.
So Mike Dominguez is set to share valuable insights, Jeff, as you know, on the car wash market dynamics. Why did SCWA, select him as this year's CEO forum speaker? And what are you hoping that attendees will kind of glean and gain from this session on day one of the event?
Well, Michael Dominguez, and I'm very excited about him. I really pushed hard for him. He's actually been a CEO forum speaker 2 other times at the SCWA conventions. And I think from the first time I saw him, I was like, wow, his message is just so relevant. Michael is currently the CEO of Alhi, which is Associated Luxury Hotels International, and they've got 250 or so high-end properties, the most prestigious hotels and resorts in the world. Prior to that, in the last 2 times that Michael was with us, or the first time Michael was with us, he was in executive leadership with MGM Resorts internationally. So I think he's got an innate ability to recognize economic trends, relate, and enact some of those changes to an industry that's, especially his industry, that's so dependent on the highest level of customer service. So, and having said that, I think this makes him, and you look in the industry, one of the most respected people in that space. And so, which aligns with, our business in the sense that, at the end of the day, we are a service related business, both customer service and then the product from a service standpoint that we put out. So he's great. I find in his information is so timely, so relevant that anybody that comes to, to that speech is going to walk away with guaranteed with ideas, or at least maybe thinking of things you can do to improve your business. This is one I promise you don't want to miss. I'm not trying to oversell Michael, but he is phenomenal. So don't miss it.
Sounds good. Look forward to it. So, obviously the CEO forum, the expo hours and the keynote speaker, those are the big highlights, but there are also these smaller, I would say, or lesser known sessions that you have planned for the show as well. And one of those is the Fast Tracks session on day 2, which offers a variety of topics from, operational practices to social media strategies. So for those who might be attending the event for the first time, or for those who might not be familiar with the Fast Track session, what is it and how would they benefit by attending and participating this year?
Sure. Well, I think that anybody that's just even maybe potentially looking to get into the industry or is already in the industry, these fast tracks give you the ability to jump around and talk to people who are experts in the industry and answer, questions you may have or give you ideas. And just some of the fast tracks that we have, just a sampling of them is, there's been kind of resurgence of self-service with the IBAs. We've got somebody that's going to be doing that. Social media, increasing your business through social media. HR and legal issues, a big one. I mean, if you're small, maybe one location or whatever, you don't have that HR person or whatever, you can come in and answer that question. Hey, what if, or what do I need to do? That's a good one. And then we've got one that's refresh, renovate, and reinvest, which follows the theme. And then there's managers exchange, ideal exchange. And this year we've got Talk Car Wash Roundtable. So there's going to be Tyler and Blake are coming in. They're going to be doing a whole hosting one, so that'll be interesting. So I think there's a little something for everyone, and so these have always been just really popular, and we get a lot of great feedback from it. So.
Yeah, there really is a session for everyone. And speaking about new investors or new operators, you have that Car Wash 101 session. Why should the new operators or investors in our market, what is that session about, the Car Wash 101, and how would they benefit from attending that session?
Yeah, that's great. And I've actually done that session probably for the last 7 or 8 years. I'm not doing it this year. It's going to be done with I believe it's Carl Howard from Autobell, as we all know.
Thanks.
Alan Kearney, who's an operator and a board member out of Colorado, and David McGann, who's out of Colorado also. That's in the industry. Was a former car wash operator, and I believe maybe getting back in. I'm not sure, but the good part of the one-on-one is for someone to come in there, and it gives you the fundamentals of what's an express exterior, what's a flex or an IBA. So just some of the general categories. And I think more importantly, that we started doing last year was kind of laying that out and then turning over questions and receiving questions from the audience, specific questions you might have that may not be covered in a presentation. So we found last year it worked really well. So just the ability to learn, listen. And this is great for even people that are already in it that just may have, industry specific questions that are already in it, like I said.
Yeah, I remember 13 years ago, I was new to the industry, and SCWA was the first trade show I attended in the market, and I did attend that session there. I believe it was Tyler Fernie who put on that session or led that session, and I got a great deal of information right off the bat. So yeah, definitely recommend that, especially for the new operators out there. And as we know, Jeff, strict policy, no vendors are allowed in that session, right? So it's just educational. You're not going to be sold anything. It's
yeah. There's no one selling anything. It's basically operators, and you're getting just real information as raw as it gets. So.
All right, sounds good. Well, Brian Kilmeade is the scheduled keynote speaker. He'll deliver the keynote address this year. What excites you most about this presentation, and in what ways do you see it resonating with Car Wash Pros? Certainly, you've never had trouble getting a high-profile keynote speaker in the past, right? Emmett Smith last year. We've had Dick Chandler. I would say this year's Brian Kilmeade. What do you?
Yeah, we always had some pretty exciting keynotes, and we owe that to Chuck and his good work. But Brian is a very dynamic person. I would think one of the, if not the hardest working people in media. He hosts or as a co-host on a 3-hour show every morning on Fox, and then does 3 hours of radio, syndicated radio directly after that. He does it 5 days a week, and then does a show on his own show, I believe, on Saturday nights on the Fox network. We just had a conference call with Brian just about 2 days ago, and Brian's extremely excited about coming. He's very intrigued by the car wash industry, and told us that he has his car washed up in New Jersey. I failed to get the name of that car wash, so apologize for that. But I think with Brian, he brings a wealth of knowledge, just real time, events, news, and then also he has extreme level of knowledge of history, and I think how it relates to just to the cycle that we're in today, the one we're coming out of, and so I think he'll have very relevant information just with the climate, both economically, socially, and things that we can take away from that. So I think it's going to be a real good event.
Yeah, always awesome and always interesting to see the keynote at SCWA, and then after that session, we head over to the exhibitor luncheon, right, where we fill up and get our fuel for the big day ahead with the expo hours. I believe they start at 1:00 on that Thursday, right? And then do you have the hours for the Wednesday expo hours? Is it 1 to 5 or 1 to 6?
I believe it's 1 to 6. It's a longer 6. So
Right. So always enjoy that luncheon. You guys always feed us well, and look forward to that. And then also we go to on Thursday night after the expo ends, we head over to Second Rodeo Brewing at Mule Alley in the Stockyards, which I went to for the first time last year. It's amazing down there, a lot of fun. Is the parlor open to all attendees? Can you share more information about logistics, transportation? What people need to know if they're
There's just a couple things. One is it is open to anybody that's got a all access pass. For the all access pass, you can buy individual ticket to that event. However, you need to pre-register for it. It's not going to be sold on site. So if you're thinking about you're wanting to go or what have you, you need to register online for that event prior, to coming. So it's open. And as far as transportation, buses are going to start leaving, I believe, at 5 o'clock from the 11th Street exit to go to the event. And then they will be starting to return, I believe, at 9, and will run every 30 minutes. I think the last bus is 10 or so coming back. So, and it's always fun, as you've seen it. And we changed last year from Billy Bob's to the event, and we've gotten this huge, everybody's really excited about it. So it's good stuff.
Yep. And then you also have some events planned for Friday morning after that event. So
we do. I'm actually one of the sessions I'm going to be teaching is it follows our theme. It's, refresh, renovate, and reinvest. And I'll be doing that with Carl Howard from Autobell, and then also Trent Clark, who is an architect. So that's going to be great. And we have some other sessions, but the one I want to talk to is kind of hot off the press. And I'm going to have to go to notes on this one, but our closing session, we're going to have, it's going to be called Car Washing from Sea to Shining Sea. And so we're covering all parts of the United States. And we've got 3 veterans, family operations. We've got Bob Dominguez from Waterway Car Wash, which represents the Southwest. We got Lance Uttermat from Brown Bear Car Wash, Northwest. And then we got John Shelby from Rojo Car Wash from Northeast. So it's going to be interactive sessions. It's going to be a panel of those 3. So there'll be question and answer sessions, and just being able to focus on innovations, insights, and perspectives through the lens of these guys who have been very successful in the industry. So I think it's one you don't want to miss. So I want to make sure I got to announce that today.
Sounds like you got a lot of high profile operators involved this year, and not only operators, but vendors too, with Lance Ormat. Well, he's actually from Brown Bear, right? If I'm not mistaken. So a lot of high profile operators, Carl Howard, you mentioned. And of course, we're familiar with David Begin, and he's certainly contributed to PCD. So sounds like you've got all the leaders up there, or a lot of the leaders up there on stage this year. So it should make for a great event.
Yeah, we're truly excited. We think this year is going to be just another wonderful, show. And so we're really just happy to be at that point in time again. I can't believe it's already been a year, but we're excited to get back together and see everyone.
Time flies when you're having fun. So last question for you, Jeff, and I'll get you out of here. But what can attendees do ahead of time? Obviously, check out the schedule of events and plan their time. They could see the expo hours and all the schedule of events at swcarwash.org. That's the association's website, where you'll find out all the information. I've booked my hotel. I've got my airfare. I'm all ready to go. What can attendees do to have a great event and get the most ROI on attending this year?
Yeah, a good question. I think similar to what you said, I think the one thing to, for me, at least if I was in that position, would be to look at the program guide, pick out the things that you feel like are going to be most of interest to you. And then more importantly, when you get to those events, go meet people. I mean, this event, unlike any other event I've been in the industry for years and years and years, and we hear it back all the time through feedback, is the ability of the hospitality and how nice everyone is and how open and giving they are to conversations, and everybody seems like they're there to help. So network, I think those are the things that, that help you more than, even after the show, if you've met somebody and you got somebody you can talk to or ask a question or what have you, that's the key elements I feel to be successful for the show.
Sounds great. I'm looking forward to it, Jeff. I know as president-elect, you'll probably be very busy, but I hope I can grab a few moments of your time while I'm at the show in Texas, and just to say hi and catch up in person. But thank you for taking some time to do this interview with me here today, and I hope you guys have a great event in Fort Worth this year.